Okay, recording started. Stream is up on the Discord also. So now, boys, this is gonna be your introduction to flight. Okay, we're gonna start with the just plain basics. We're gonna talk about we're gonna show you some optimal keybinds and how to experiment with them, find your own set, right? We're gonna talk about terminology, reading the map icons, how to use the radio properly, talk about your SOPs and some decision making, some demonstration, and then we'll just close it up with the scenarios you should practice, right? Quick little disclaimer, okay, even after the training session, you're expected to practice a lot more, become consistent, and basically erase pilot errors from the occasion, right? Also, some other assets like Apaches have other stuff that has to be worked on, like studied and learned. Okay, so it mostly applies for anything Stalker, right? Okay, so you probably know me by the yeah, I've seen you guys, so you probably know who I am. I've been flying in the Karmakuts for the last 3 campaigns. Have around 500 hours of flying experience. This legend here, Cyanide. He's literally the Apache counterpart. A good gunner and a good, pilot all around. So yeah. Now, boys, I want you to crouch down now, and if you have any questions, I want you to stand up so I'll know you have a question. And when my sentence is finished, I'll get to you. All right. So now, Stalker. As you know, Stalker is air logistics, right? Basically, taxi that gets things where they need to go. That's our job. We do not have any direct action stuff. We do not have any armaments. So, we can be tasked for, obviously, reinsertions. We can be tasked for resupply operations. We can be tasked for logistics, mainly resource collection. We can be tasked for sling loading, and lastly, medevacs. All of these has to be especially sling loading has to be practiced apart from your standard flight stuff because it has their own things that needs to be worked on, mainly hovering and flying more controlled. Any questions in terms of what you can be tasked for? No? Alright, so let's go to your keybinds firstly before we do basics flight stuff. Now, I want everybody to open up your controls on your helicopter movement, right? So, your default armor settings will have cyclic as WSAD, right, from top to bottom. Personally, I find this completely rubbish, and I do not use any HOTAS, it's just keyboard and mouse for me. So for cyclic, for basically pitch, I just use mouse. And I suggest you do as well, because if you adjust the mouse sensitivity with these keybinds, you can basically fly like you fly with a HOTAS. Okay, sensitivity you can change. You can basically make it laser precise with mouse up, down, left, right. To change, put mouse up and down. Actually, default is going to be W, right? So delete that. And at the right side, you'll see mouse up, right? Click and drag that in, and hit OK. Do those for forward, backward, left, and right. Okay. And then we're going to move over to collective and pedal. Okay. If you want to see my whole set, it's going to be check my Discord stream. You can see the whole set there. Let me know when you're done. We're going to move to collective and pedal. So, just show it again. Okay. click cyclic up, click mouse up here, click and drag it in. It's going to show button 4 for me since I'm holding my push to talk button. Ignore that. And hit OK.
Do you know, with the joystick then, I've keybound them so that it suits the joystick.
I got the joystick.
For joystick, I cannot really help you. Cyanide,
Okay.
I believe you have a HOTAS with you?
Yep. Let me grab it.
I think I've got it all set up.
There's a few things that you should change if you don't have change yet. Because if you want to fly Demon or the Black Hawk and Jordan full potential of your HOTAS, your throttle that is, you can actually change one setting in the Black Hawk add-on settings. Which makes it more fucking better, like 100% fuel of your HOTAS instead of 50%.
Okay.
Here, let me just install this bitch. Alright, let's see. Controller refresh. Alright. So with the cyclic forward, you just push your joystick forward, of course. So you have a Y minus. Backwards, you know the drill, honestly. Left, right.
Okay. Cool. I think I got it all.
Yeah, collective race. You should have it on the normal one. Analog doesn't work well with the mods.
Okay, cool.
Analog does not work, so put that in mind.
Okay.
Left pedal, rotate left. Right pedal, rotate right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's honestly it almost. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Hey, thank you.
No problem. If you want full control in the Black Hawk, you go to add-on options in controls.
Yeah.
And you go to all the way down on the list, UH60M.
Mm-hmm.
And turn off simple collective.
Got you.
AFM simple collective, because right now it uses 50% of the HOTAS, and when you disable that, it uses 100 of your HOTAS. So you can do very fine adjustments.
Okay.
Fubar, can you show your mouse options again?
You mean the sensitivity? Yeah. For axis, it's 25. For y-axis, it is 10%. So lower your sensitivity goes, finer adjustments you can make. Keep that in mind. Default is going to be like fucking 80% or something, which just means you move the mouse a little bit and it just flips, right? So big part of experimentation is also experimenting with the sensitivity, right? So you get it finely adjusted and suited for yourself. Okay, so let's move to collective. Collective is basically gaining and losing altitude. Raise gets your altitude, lower loses it, obviously. For this, I use W and S. Shift and Z is a bit finicky, if you ask me. It's like, having two fingers on a lower part of the keyboard and two up. It's finicky. So basically use WASD, what you would use for, when you're driving a car, right? It's simple.
Yep.
Pedals A and D. One disclaimer I'm going to make here is in the plane movement, you also have pedals on Q and E. So if you have plane pedals on Q and E and you remove those on the helicopter, when you get in the helicopter, Q and E will still have pedals on it. So if you're gonna remove Q and E completely, you're gonna have to remove plane movement as well. Also, with Q and E, I use them for personally, when I'm playing in an Apache, I use Q and E for other keybinds. So I'll have two other options if I'm operating something that uses keybinds. Stuff like the auto hover and gear, they're the same. Also with the rope interaction and sling load, we keep those the same. Okay, those are not complicated. Now, any of you not familiar with or having trouble with just basic flights, or having trouble with controlling the cyclic, or having trouble controlling the altitude?
That's
Drogo?
me.
All right.
Yeah, but I think practice is gonna be the thing there.
I'm still going to show you some basic parts, alright? So,
Nice.
no shame in it on, not knowing this, that's what we're here for, okay? You can either come with me or you can watch the Discord stream, that is up to you, okay? Now I'm going to get on the little bird, show
I'm gonna
some...
do both, actually.
Okay, I'm muting myself on Discord, so I will not be using the radio. Okay, now I'm gonna get some altitude, alright, 10 should be enough. Now, I'm just using the mouse, alright, I'm not touching the keyboard, the collective, or the pedals, right? To basically get the aircraft to glide very, very gently, you just need the mouse, alright? I'm only using mouse right now, no hands on the keyboard, right? You can, like this, gain speed, lose speed reliably. You don't always have to touch the collective, right? Look, I'm doing 120 and I haven't even touched the keyboard yet, right? To lose the speed, you just pitch it back slightly. On the dashboard, you can see my cyclic there. Just slightly, keep things under control, and as long as you're not doing any, I'm pedaling by the way right now, as long as you're not doing any collective inputs and you're keeping your pitch and you're very gentle, you're not gonna lose the altitude, right? But let's say I pitch down like this, as you can see I'm losing the altitude, right? So keep this in mind. If you want to keep the altitude stable, just keep the cyclic gentle and let the aircraft glide, right? For going max speed, what you do is basically you go full collective up and then pitch the nose down a bit more aggressive, right? See, 18 meter altitude and I'm climbing on the speed, right? Let me, okay, get back to the area. Same with the losing speed, alright? When you pull back, if you pull back harshly, you're going to get altitude, but you're going to lose the speed a lot faster, right? To counteract the altitude you're going to gain, you're going to do collective down. So collective down gets you to lose the altitude, and pitch back gets you altitude. So it counterbalances itself, and you do not gain altitude, right? But you lose the speed a lot faster. For landings, alright, some people will have trouble and cause damage while landing. If you're having trouble, what I suggest you is basically just gently tap collective down, right? As you can see, I'm just tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it, tapping it. We're on the floor, right? With helicopters that have built-in HMD, like the Black Hawk, you'll actually see your downwards moving speed, so it will help you if you're going to cause yourself damage or not, right? Give me a second. So, any questions up to this point? Oh, hey, Scarlett. Right.
That's a good demonstration, thank you.
No problem, mate. So let's talk about some terminology, right? The gibberish people, talk and things they use.
Hello, Fubar.
Ooh, hey. So for terminology, I'm gonna list them on the top left corner of the map. Right, I'm gonna make a full list there, so you can reference it after the training's done. Maybe even take a screenshot or whatever you'd like. Okay. So let's write terminology. Okay. Draw a big little line here. So let's start with something like LZs. Self-explanatory, right? Landing zone. This is a designated. I'm gonna stop using in-game voice because I'm gonna have to push a button while I'm trying to type shit, right? So Discord it is from now on. So landing zone, right? LZs, self-explanatory. These are designated positions where science will tell you, okay, this is a safe position for you to land and operate on, right? Designated landing spot for you. But it's not over yet. Who's that hot Mikey? It's Prone Dwarf. Okay, so there are different types of LZs. LZ specifically means, okay, it is a cold LZ, meaning it is safe. Okay, but HLZ, which sometimes confuses people, means hot landing zone. Right? Meaning there is a chance that you may take fire there. It is not guaranteed when it's hot, but there is a chance. Okay? Chance of hostile fire. Put the E at the end. We got that. Okay, next up we have ELZs. Okay, these mean emergency landing zone. Okay, this in short means, okay, you suffered I don't know, tail rotor loss and you had to land somewhere where you will need recovery service later on from maybe an ogre, right? Emergency landing zone means landing zone that I came up with and I need recovery service later on, right? Game room 5. Okay. Any questions on the LZs? By the way, boys, as I said before, crouch down, so if you have any questions, stand up so I can see if you have a question or not, right? So, our next up is RTB, a term a lot of people like to use, me included. Means return to base, okay? Instead of saying like, oh, Siren, this is Stalker 1, research is complete, we're going back to base, just say Stalker 1 RTB, right? Keep it simple, keep it brief, and just be informative but short, okay? Next up, we have HBs, mysterious things, right? Means hold points, right? A position, this means a position designated by Siren for you to hold at and wait for either all clear or a secondary LZ or whatever the case is, right? Let's say you're going to do an insertion and there's a ZU rushing your LZ. There's a chance he will give you an HB to wait at and wait for all clear, right? HBs are also used for demons. There's also BP to this, which I'll talk to you after this, okay? A safe designated position for you to hold at, right? Next, we have the BP. Stands for battle position. This is for air assets that have the standoff capability. Okay, so think of an Apache. Okay, you put him at a BP where he just sits there and can engage the enemy, right? That's what BP is for. This is not a stalker related thing, but you should know this. Okay. Standoff capable aircraft position to engage hostiles. Next up, we have, this is like not a real term, but something we like to use, logi. Logistics, obviously, but some people can confuse this with resupply operations. It basically means resource collection, okay? Mainly done with slicks and chinooks. Next up, hold orbit / holding pattern. Okay, this is basically, let's say you're going to land at your fob and there is another aircraft that's about to take off. He's going to say hold orbit or go into a holding pattern. Self-explanatory, okay? You basically wait for the air traffic to clear. That is holding orbit, okay? Sometimes, I will get to this on the radio part, but when you're approaching the fob, you will announce that on the radio, and whoever's on the ground, be it a stalker or a demon, whoever, who's not flying, he's going to inform you that some other aircraft is going to be taking off, so he's going to either tell you to hold orbit, or tell the other aircraft that's going to take off to hold, so you can land, right? That's where this term comes into use, okay? Next up, on deck. This basically means wheels on the floor, okay? You're at the designated position and you're waiting, okay? So instead of getting on the radio, oh, Siren, Stalker 1's at somewhere, we're waiting for you, just say Stalker 1 on deck. That means you're waiting at your designated position, okay? And Siren knows you're there waiting for you, right? Next up we have Mayday. Something no one likes to say or hear. Basically means you're shot and you're trying to do basically recovery maneuvers, right? So emergency landing, okay? Basically, when someone says Mayday, which it means they're still in one piece, but they're gonna have to do an emergency landing later on, okay? So recovery service comes in later. Nielsen, I will get to that shortly. Okay, we're going to have a dedicated radio topic, which I'll talk about the departures, RTBs, entering airspace, all stuff like that. Okay, we'll get to that later. Next up, we have SAM sites. Okay, SAM sites stands for Surface to Air Site. Okay, these are basically, these have radars and guided missiles which ping you and then send you a guided laser to shoot you down, right? We'll get to how to avoid these later on, but basically, air defense system, let's say, okay? Next up, we have manpads. What are these things, right? Manpad means man-portable air defense system, right? This means basically shoulder-fired guided munitions, right? A Stinger is a manpad, a Javelin is a manpad, an Igla is a manpad, alright? So Igla, Javelin, Stinger, okay? Guided missiles, basically, okay? Any questions up to this point? No?
Can you hear me in T4?
Yes.
Okay.
In
Just want
Tifa,
to make sure.
yeah, I can.
Yep.
Do a radio check. Do a radio check for me. We're using
Yes, on radio check.
7.7. We're using 7.7 and 7.6. Okay. Because if you're on 7.0 in the training server, we will sometimes, when you open up your radio, you hear that sound, right? Sound effects. If they're on the
Right.
yep, good check.
Radio check 76.
Good check, lads. Okay, so manpads. Next up, we have ZUs. Okay, ZUs are basically trucks with AA guns in the back, right? These are your DIY fucking anti-air stuff. Okay, DIY anti-air truck. Okay, doesn't have any radar capability, doesn't have any guided munitions. Okay, it's just an anti-air cannon. Okay. This is mostly confused with ZSUs, which have radars but no guided munitions. All right, you can still get a radar ping and confuse it for maybe a SAM site. So be careful, all right? If there's a ZSU in the AO, Siren will mostly inform you. So keep this in mind. Mobile
Question?
anti. Hold on. Tracked vehicle. Go ahead.
Is the only difference between a CU truck and a ZSU truck is that one has radar capability, or did I misinterpret?
Yes, ZSU has a radar. It's like it's a tracked vehicle, all right. ZU is just a
Oh,
truck.
right.
ZSU is a tracked vehicle with a radar on top, basically. They both have the
Like a Tunguska or a Shilka.
uh, ZSUs
No,
are also
it's something different.
Shilkas. ZSUs are also Shilkas. Tunguskas have guided missiles, but I think they removed Tunguskas in the current campaign. But Tunguskas are basically called Tunguskas. They don't have a name like a ZSU or whatever, right? So ZSU is also called Shilka. Tunguska is guided missile one. Okay. Let me write down the Tunguska here. But ZSU Shilka and Tunguska. Okay. Mobile anti-air tracked vehicle with guided missiles. Right. You can see the ZSU and the ZU in the vehicle identification area. You can tell which is Shilka by that radar on top of the armor, right? After the training session's done, I'm going to be around for around 30 minutes or 1 hour. We can talk about these in detail if you feel like you need to, alright? Next, some flight modes. All right. Firstly, we're going to start with a nap of the Earth. Right. This is a flight mode. Basically, this is flying as low as possible to the ground to avoid detection and just minimize exposure. All right. Flying as low as possible and flying around obstacles instead of above them. Okay. So nap of the Earth is the most demanding and the most difficult, right? It's not something you should try to practice like at the start of your, introduction to flight, let's say, but something you should practice later on as you, become more proficient. Next up, we have contour flight. Okay, this is flying just above obstacles. All right, you're going to be clearing above the obstacles, but you're not going to gain a lot more altitude than that. Okay. And lastly, we have flying low. Okay. This is just clearing above the obstacles and generally high exposure. Okay. Flying low is only used when you're sure that you're flying in a safe area. Okay. There's also flying high, which is like flying above the clouds, which I'm not going to even talk about too much because we never use it in Karmakut Liberation. Okay, we're only gonna talk about the things you'll need in Liberation. So, any questions on terminology? Any that you've heard that I forgot to mention? No.
I guess in flying low is kind of what I like to think is that you set a point maybe 1.5 kilometers out and you try and keep that level till you get to that point.
I will do demonstrations on these later on. Okay, I will talk about the flight modes and what general altitude they're on. Okay, right now, in terms of like terminology, do you have any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. So I'm gonna now touch on SOPs, which is very important because otherwise you're gonna get a spanking. Okay. First up, okay, the most important part, okay, is knowing what you're capable of. Okay. First of all, as a stalker, you're in charge of the safety of the aircraft and no one else. All right. Siren cannot be held accountable for your mistakes and your basically pilot errors. All right, it's all you. And let's say, imagine a scenario. Siren calls you to try to land on a LZ, which is high exposure. You'll have to basically expose yourself to potential SAM sites, guided munitions, manpads, whatever, right? So you're going to get shot 100%. What do? You can just say no, alright? No one can override your call on refusing a flight order, okay? And this also means that you can accept it, but remember, since you're in the charge of the aircraft, if you lose it in a high risk scenario, okay, you're the only one accountable, okay? So, a big part of doing Stalker is decision making in that aspect, okay? Because you gotta know when to fly and when not to fly, okay? Sometimes people will go, oh, there's a SAM site, shut down everything. But it's not always like that, okay? An example would be last Thursday, okay, with my friend Stinky Cheese. We had a demon who got shot, okay, by a SAM site. And before I continued the flight ops, okay, what I did was I gathered as much information on the SAM site as possible. I learned what altitude he got the radar ping on. I tried to triangulate where the missile came from. And then I basically marked myself the altitude ceiling, marked myself a proper flight path where I could stay as low as possible, and an LZ which would have the most terrain masking, right? So that way, yes, I'm taking risks, but I'm trying to minimize it by basically like trying to get around the obstacles, right? I'm trying to minimize exposure and maximize the efficiency and basically get the job done, even though there's a threat in the air. But this is just a SAM site example, right? If there's like a jet or a attack helicopter, don't even try. They just shoot you down. Okay? But let's say there's a ZSU in the area, and it's close by to the LZ. No need to try to work around that. He will shoot you down if he's close to the LZ. Okay? And as I said before, your actions will have consequences if you're doing dangerous flying. When I was flying, when that SAM site was active, even if I got shot, and if an admin came to give me a strike, nothing I could say, nothing I could do. I took a calculated risk, and I failed, which happens. Okay. Next up, who are your bosses when you're playing Stalker? So, Siren is tactical air direction. Okay. 90% of the time, you're gonna have a dedicated Siren in 7-0 to basically land you LZs and task you for different objectives. Alright? On 7-0, you will mostly not call the Siren with this number, you're just gonna say Siren, because there's only one Siren on 7-0. Okay? If you need to reach a different Siren, you're gonna have to use 7-2. 7-2 is a long range frequency just for reaching Sirens. Okay? And as I said before, Sirens will designate you LZs, and you're only allowed to land on those LZs, okay? If they made a mistake where like LZ is not really correct and you gotta land a little bit close to it, you can. But shortly, okay, LZs only, okay? And lastly, if let's say you're on 7-0 and 1-4 says they need a resupply crate delivered to them, right? You cannot just say, yes, I will do that. No. Stalker does not have autonomy on its own, okay? If there's a Siren online, every air request, every Stalker request has to go through Siren first. Okay? Keep this in mind. But we have a bigger fish than Siren, and he is Assassin 6. Okay? Assassin 6 can override Siren's orders and task you for things by himself. Because Assassin 6 is HQ, okay? This guy also knows how to play Siren, and chances are he's taking everything into account and, yeah, knows as much as Siren does, right? So if Siren is calling you for Objective A and Assassin 6 is calling you for Objective B, you have to go for the Objective B, okay? To reach Assassin 6, lastly, it is frequency 30, right? Company-wide. One last thing on radio stuff in the SOPs I will mention is when there is no siren online, okay, let's say you have 50 people but no sirens on. What do? You just still stay on 7.0, keep it on additional in case the siren comes online, because per SOPs you always have to monitor 7.0, right? Because that's where people will try to reach you. But no siren active, then you can use 3.0 as main and 7.0 as an additional, okay? Because if no siren elements are online, then closest command element is going to take charge, be it 1.6, or if there's 6 online, it's going to be Assassin 6. Nilsson, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. By the way, boys, as I said, crouch down and stand up if you have a question, so I will know. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
And last touch on SOPs. Okay. Yeah, we have 2-strike system. Strikes will vary depending on what mistake you did. Okay, sometimes you can get punished for the simplest mistake. Sometimes you can get punished for, and like sometimes you can get like not punished for something very very simple. It varies, right? But try to keep a good standing with everyone, and as I said before, remove the pilot error from the occasion. Okay, make it like a decision-making mistake. Right, that's the only acceptable mistake a stalker can do. Right, because if you're making pilot mistakes, you're not a good pilot. You're just gonna keep it like harsh and short. Okay, on that aspect. Now let's go to the map usage and icons. All right. Everybody, open up your maps, and below terminology, we're going to talk about map icons and how to read it properly, right? So, map icons, okay? Let's draw a fat little line, okay? First of all, before you start drawing or doing whatever else, okay? The main, like the primary color for a stalker on the map is yellow, okay? So on the map, top right corner, you can click here and change the color. Okay. Whenever you're playing Stalker, just change the yellow immediately, because this is what you're going to use. Okay. Any map icon that is yellow, it is accepted as an information that the Stalker should know. Right. So, first of all, we have drawing a straight line. Okay. You do this by Control, Shift, hold them, and click and drag. Right, like this. So, Control, Shift, click and drag. Left click and drag. Let's be more specific, right? So there you go. That's a straight line. Okay. Give me a second. Alright, so if you want to draw a bit of a wavy line, okay, something like this, okay, you just hold Control and same as before, left click and drag, right? What these lines are going to be used for is marking flight lines or flight paths, alright? So, second. So let's say, let me mark an LZ somewhere. Okay, this is, let's go LZ Chungus, right? If you want to do it, you can always draw yourself a flight path, like that, okay? That is a flight path. Flight path basically means, okay, this is a tried, basically path that is deemed safe and is basically the one you're going to use primarily, okay? Sometimes sirens will mark these themselves, but you can always ask for a request to change these, adjust these, and you can always mark another one yourself. So let's say someone used the one I just drawn, okay? I can myself just draw something like this and no one would bother me because that's the flight path I'm taking, okay? So that's where drawing on the map comes along, alright? Next up, we have LZs, alright, or LZs, whichever one you prefer, okay? This icon pickup icon is used for LZs. Okay, always use these. Do not try any other icon. This is just for LZs. Okay. Landing zone. Alright. So let's put it there. Oh, by the way, lastly, to move an icon without deleting it, right? You're just doing seconds, Alt and left click and drag. Right? So instead of moving this LZ, just deleting it and putting something new somewhere, just Alt and just drag it gently. Right? Any questions? No? Okay. So, next up, for HPs and BPs. For HPs, we use the join mark. Right? This is for HPs or hold points. Sometimes the icon may change, but this is what I suggest you use because this is the most used one. Okay. Also, color can vary as well, depending on who it is for. For example, demons will sometimes go purple, they'll sometimes go something like red, green, whatever, okay? But if it's strictly yellow, just see that as a stalker related icon, okay? Also, this can be used for BPs as well. Let me mark that there. Battle position, okay? What else have we got? Oh, for logistics, alright? We have basically putting cleared or update markers, alright? So, if you've done Ogre before, you go to collection zone and you mark how many supplies there are, right? So let's say there are 2 boxes of supplies there. To mark that, okay, you're using the objective icon, okay? And if you put it yellow, that means a stalker's been there. If it's like something like a green or purple, that means it was an ogre, alright? And to be more specific, right, let's say cleared on this one, okay? I've cleared the supply collection zone, and I want to notify when I did it. I click the timestamp, right? 10:49. Look at the top corner, 10:49. Every couple of hours, there's going to be new boxes, so this way we can keep a track of how many there could be, okay, even if it's cleared. Lastly, we can change the scale of it, yeah, make it bigger or smaller, right? And we can change the direction of it, like with this arrow. You change the direction, okay? Let me put it to 0. For marking supplies, alright, you're still going to use objective and just something like 2x supplies or 2xs, okay? We use supplies, S for supplies, F for fuel, A for ammo, right? Simple. And that is your map reading. Any questions? No? Okay, lovely. Now let's get to some radio stuff. Now, for your radios, as we said before, you always have to monitor 7.0 on your long range, okay? Even if you're going to be on a different channel, always have 7.0 on an additional, okay? Like personally, when I'm in the game, even if I'm on 7.0 and it's my main frequency, I still put it on additional and put it on right ear. And let's say I need to talk to an ogre, I click false and I type in 3.4, but I'm still monitoring 7.0, right? I'm not out of 7.0. Keep this in mind, okay? If you're going to be swapping channels left and right, be sure to have 7.0 on your additional, okay? And for talking to other air assets like demons, stalkers, or reapers, it's going to be 7.1, okay? This is your short range, 7.1. You're going to be mainly using 7.1 to inform other friendly air assets on your approaches, whether you're landing, maneuvers, etc. Right? Anything that's a stalker to stalker conversation is going to go through 7.1. If you need to reach a command element, like a siren, it's going to be on 7.0. Right? So, We use the radio for basically 4 main things. It's going to be first. It's going to be for departure calls. Okay. Second, RTB. Third is going to be entering an airspace, and lastly, it's going to be for formation flights. Okay, if you're flying with another air asset. So let's start with departures. All right. Imagine this scenario. All right. We are at the FOB Alpha. Let's mark this FOB Alpha. Right. FOB Alpha, and I need to go to LZ Chungus to do reinsertions. Okay. I get in the bird, everyone's on board, we're good to go. I start up the bird, but before I depart, okay, you have to inform Siren on what you're doing. Okay. That way, Siren's gonna keep a track of you and inform you if there's like something that just came up in the AO that you need to know. Okay. So before we depart, first of all, you say who you are, where you are, where you're departing from, and where you're going to. Okay, so an example would be Stalker 1 departing FOB Alpha for LZ Chungus. Right? I kept it short, brief. Siren knows I'm at FOB Alpha and I'm going to go to LZ Chungus. Right? If you wanna, if there's air traffic going on, you can also get on short range and just inform the local air traffic on which direction you're going to take. If you're the only one, you don't need to do this, okay, since there isn't any other air assets. But to warn the local air traffic, okay, you're going to say local air traffic first to warn the local air traffic, and then you're going to say your name and the direction you're going to depart to, okay? So, local air traffic, this is Stalker 1 departing FOB Alpha to the east, okay? As I said, this part, the short-range local air traffic part is optional if you have traffic going on. But the departure call for Siren, that is mandatory. Not mandatory, but a thing you should always do. Okay? Yeah, this is your departure call. Alright? So, you lift it off. You're at LZ Chungus. The boys are off the bird. And you're basically going to go back. Well, then you're going to call RTB. Terminology we mentioned, right? Instead of getting on the radio and saying, "Oh, Siren, Stalker 1, the research is complete, we're returning to the base," or whatever, just keep it short, okay? Just say Stalker 1 RTB, okay? Siren knows you complete your mission, you're safe, and then you're coming back to the FOB now, alright? Okay, I've called RTB then, and I'm coming back to FOB Alpha, and I'm going in for a landing. But there are other stalkers. Well, when you're at least 1 to 2 kilometers out from the FOB, okay, on your short range, you're gonna inform the local air traffic on the direction you're approaching, okay? So, let's say I'm Stalker 2, I'm in the FOB and I'm spooling my bird up, and Stalker 1 is coming in to land from the east, okay? What he's gonna say is basically, first of all, local air traffic, and his name, where he's approaching, and which direction he's approaching from. Okay? So, local air traffic, this is Stalker 1 approaching FOB Alpha from the east. Okay? So, if I'm Stalker 2, and I'm going to depart all the way to the west, I'm just going to say, okay, I'm departing to the west, you can come in for a landing. Or, if I'm going to go that direction as well, I can just hold and tell him to land, or maybe tell him to hold orbit, right? Nelson? Nelson, you have a question?
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, great. Is that on short range 071?
Yeah, local air traffics are always done on 7.1. Okay, those are your short range. Okay, because this is a stalker to stalker conversation. Something the Siren does not need to know, right? But let's say you need to reach another stalker, but you can't reach him on short range, then you can use the long range. No worries on that. But 70 is main, or 70, whichever one you prefer, 70, 70, there's the same frequencies. Use it only for things Siren should know about, okay? Because that is a command channel. That's where the important information goes through, right?
Yep.
So, one extra part of this is, let's say, as I said, Stalker 1's approaching, Stalker 2 is on the deck, but he's going to spool up. Okay, I'm Stalker 3, and I'm not doing anything. Okay? Then, this is not a written rule or anything, but since other two Stalkers are in helicopters, right? As person on the floor, I have more visibility than each of them, right? So, I'm going to manage the air traffic for them. Okay, this is, as I said, this is not a set in stone rule. Okay, sometimes people inside the birds will do that, but if no one's doing it, you can do it even if you're not in a bird. Okay, so instead of just waiting for the boys to sort themselves out, okay, you're gonna take charge on 7-1, and you're gonna say, okay, Stalker 1, hold orbit, Stalker 2, you clear for takeoff, right? Now, these are your, as I said, departure, RTB, and entering an airspace calls, right? These are the stuff you should always do, okay? These information inform the sirens, these will inform the other air assets, minimize accidents, and generally earn you friends, alright? Lastly, the main thing the radio is used for is coordination in formation flight, or as I'd like to call it, multi-ship flights, okay? So let's say we have two stalkers and we have two little birds and we have to do insertion together, right? Instead of doing it in a messy, clustery way, okay, we can do it in formation where we fly together, we land one after the other and keep everything clean and then come back together, right? So for this, there's going to be a flight lead who's going to be in the front. And there's going to be a number 2 and number 3 depending on where they're on the formation, right? I'm going to keep this basic because this is more of an advanced thing, but you should know these, right? At least the basics. So, the person in the front on short range, this is all done in short range because as I said, this is a stalker to stalker conversation, okay? So, the person in front sets the pace, goes something like set pace 160 kilometers, right? That way, people on the back knows the one on the front is going 160 kilometers, right? So you can adjust properly. He's also not gonna. He can choose the altitude, and while you're in formation, all right, you're gonna be calling out the maneuvers you're gonna do, like important maneuvers you're gonna do before you do them. Okay, so let's say I come across an obstacle in the formation, and to not hit it, I'm gonna have to do a hard brake to the left. Okay, I'm gonna say if I'm the second information in this example, okay, I'm gonna go 2 braking left. I'm gonna wait a second and then execute the maneuver, right? Your number is dependent on your position information, right? So something happened, you were 2, you did the brake maneuver, you're gonna go back in the front, okay, and then now you're number 3. If there was a person behind you and the person behind you is in front of you now, he's number 2, right? As I said, this is some advanced shit, and just know the basics. Alright, I'm gonna link a video in the Discord about this. There's like 10-15 minute video in detail about this, so you can watch it after you've got your flight stuff nailed. Okay. Lastly, repairs. Right, something happened. Let's say you sustained some damage, whether you took shots or pilot error, which can sometimes happen. And you need repairs, right? And you have damage in, I don't know, 9 components, and you're gonna have to repair them individually. Well, instead, you can get on 3-4 or 34 long range, which is Ogre's channel, okay? And you can request repairs, right? So remember 3-4 to get repair help, right? Now, any questions before we move on from radio? Go ahead, Trip.
Yeah, Fuba. Do you know long range then? Is that something you can use like the set on the aircraft, or do you have to have a back-to-back?
You have radios in the aircraft, and you can take one as a backpack, right? And you can set one active while the other is going to be in the background, right? So even if you do not have a backpack, you can still use a radio. Also,
Okay.
one extra point about that is helicopters, like inside radios, have a lot more range. Okay, your backpack can have up to 25 clicks, I think. And if there's terrain in it, you'll still sometimes hear static, even when you're like 10 clicks out, right?
Okay.
But the helicopter, I think, has up to 35. Some of them even have like 50. So if you're trying to reach someone really far away, and if they have a means of coming back to you with SATCOM or whatever, you can use helicopters long range. Okay. And to set that up, set that as active, right? You're gonna do Alt P, and you're gonna see 2 radios, right? And then when you click on the helicopters, just hit set as active, and you can do Alt P again to click on the helicopter and settings and set the radio up, right?
So you have to set it as active when you're in the bird, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, so then I can put SAR on my backpack and all the other channels in my helicopter.
So yeah.
So if I get shot on, for example,
Yeah.
isn't 3.9 the search and rescue channel?
Yes, any shutdowns recovery is going to be on 3.9, but repairs are requested on 3.4. So let's say it was an Apache and someone's shot down and needs medical as well. Yes, that's done on 3.9. But if you just need a pickup, for example, yes, 3.9 is good, but mainly no one really uses 3.9. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
But keep that in mind. If needed, do a call on 3.9 first, then switch over to other channels, okay? To basically not disobey the SOPs, right?
Right.
Any other questions before we move on to basically decision making in flights? No? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Do you know on 3.4, who's it on 3.4 you contact for repairs?
Ogre. They're basically
okay.
your ground counterparts, okay? Your air logistics, Ogre is ground logistics. Zedsa, buddy. Good gentlemen, that's Zensa right there, one of our third instructor,
Sorry, I'm late.
who's also a legend himself. Zensa,
My favorite pilot. Nothing against you,
Zensa mate, we have a Discord game room where I'm streaming my basically screen. Okay, you can get on that. It's game room 5, right?
I can get on there.
Okay, there we are. Scarlet, mate, can you turn the bird down if, you know...
Anything like everyone's making entry right now.
Alright, lovely. Now, we have around 3 segments, actually 2 segments before we do demonstrations and show you the scenarios you should practice, right? So, decision making in flights. So, let's say you're coming to an LZ, okay? Before you depart, alright, you're gonna have to choose what landing type you're gonna go for, alright? This is different than an LZ type. Landing types and LZ types are different, okay? Landing type means are you gonna hover or are you gonna touch the floor? Are you gonna do a nose touch landing? Are you gonna, I don't know, either go for a flat one if there's one nearby, okay? So before, we're gonna touch on those after this, okay? So before you depart the fob, you're gonna decide what type of landing you're gonna do, right? And next is basically instructing people on board, right? This is a very important part, okay? Because this is the reason we lost the fucking option to fast rope, okay? Because people would jump out, fucking prepare the fast rope and just dangle at the bottom of the helicopter, and they will clip a bird, clip a tree, and thing would just arm itself, right? So when you depart, alright, clearly instruct the passengers on board and just tell them to wait for your green light, alright? So tell them just get out or when you tell them to. Otherwise you're going to have people who just jump out prematurely, break their legs, fucking, like tell you're a shitty pilot or whatever the fuck, right? So, when you get on, just tell the boys to wait for your green lights, and just listen to your instructions, right? Because sometimes, let's say you're going to do hover landing, which means you're going to be not landing, but you're going to be just a little bit above the floor, so it's going to be safe for them to jump out, but you're not going to be touching the floor, yeah? So if you're not at like sufficient, close to the ground, and you're like, I don't know, 4 meters high, they can still take damage, right? So they have to listen to you to know when to get out, okay? So in this aspect, always instruct the passengers. Tell them to wait for your green light, okay? This way you will minimize armor issues that are caused by your passengers, okay? Even if they're still being a dickhead and they do whatever the fuck they like, okay? You have warned them. You can just take this up to administration, and if you're really pissed, you can even, you know, go to an admin, right? And yeah, that is it for flight decision making. Okay. Lastly, for demonstrations is making friends. Right. Stalker is basically about working with second-hand information. Right. The information you get on what you're gonna do comes externally. Right. So this is where trust and making friends comes in. Right. Like my buddy Cyanide, my buddy Zensa, my buddies like Sirens, Deceive One, Future, and like those guys I 100% trust and know that they'll like take everything into account. So you know I'll trust those boys on their call. Yeah. So that's where making friends comes in. Okay. If someone's making a mistake, you're not gonna be argumentative. You're gonna be polite about it. Okay, and just try to correct their mistakes instead of just calling them out on just being rude. All right. So be polite. Try to get along with everybody. Sometimes you will encounter people who you just detest, but that's all right. Just do not see them as friends. Then just see them as co-workers. Right. You're both on the same side. You're trying to get the shit done, and yeah. And when you embrace the idea, right, even if you hate someone, if you try to work with them, you'll see that your like relationship with that person will like get better, right? That person will no longer hate you, and that will be better for like company-wide, right? Because let's say, there's some person there, I hate him, I hope he crashes, right? Whatever, right? And that happens, he gets shot down, he loses his bird. What happened now? Company lost an important asset, but your ego is satisfied now. But the company's fucking crippled, right? So as I said, be polite, try to get along with everybody as much as you can, and lastly, share the fun, share the assets, right? Don't go, oh, this is my little bird. Do not touch my little bird, right? Just try to share in the fun. Like if there's someone sitting in the base for long periods of time, just tell them to take it for a couple of runs and share the fun, right? Don't be selfish because these are not your birds. These are company assets. They may be first come first serve, but this way you will make friends, right? People will like you more because you're not being selfish. You want everybody to have fun, just like you are, right? And yeah, let's move on to some demonstrations, right? So, Zensa, mate, why don't you give us a short little demonstration?
Hi,
Good. Oh, right. So why don't you give us a short little demonstration, departure from Fob Alpha to LZ Chungus with all the radio usage, like departure, RTB, and the local air traffic calls. If you have the time, that is.
Gotcha. You want to handle me on short range or long range?
7, give me a second. We're on 7-7 long range. I will be acting as your siren for this demonstration. You're gonna be the stalker, right?
Alright. You want to do ATC or just me in charge of the aircraft doing whatever I want?
Just your standard stalker stuff, right? There's nothing fancy in it. I'm just gonna give you the LZ. You're gonna fly there, do the research, and come back with the sufficient radio stuff as we talked before.
Alright. I'll just take my chopper even though it's not transport.
Boys, if you want, you can go with Zensa or stay here. Okay, we're gonna just use the radio and yeah. Stalker 1, siren.
Send for Stalker 1.
LZ Chungus is open for researches.
Stalker 1, copy. Stalker 1's going to ferry Runestove to LZ Changus. I'll copy.
Siren copies. Godspeed, fella.
Stalker 1 out. Soccer 1 departing FOB. Inbound to LZ Chungus.
Guys, make sure to grab a long range radio or else you can hit further.
Okay.
And as you already got it from 7-7. Long range.
Everybody, make sure you have a long range and make sure it is
Soccer
tuned
1,
to
1 mic to
7.7.
LZ Chungus.
Roger that, mate. Frequency 7.7.
Soccer 1, 30 seconds to LZ Chungus.
Is the time on target necessary?
Not really, but if I was a siren and we had one little bird in the air and it was very, very important, yes, I would be requesting that information.
Soccer 1 on deck.
Cyanide. How are you today?
Good.
You're doing good?
So Fuba, would you have Sam 6
You still can't
and
land in the
Sam
middle of the
10
age.
on the long range backpack?
Nor can
Yeah.
I.
Say again?
You can't even
Soccer 1's
fly
RTB
anymore.
to FOB.
Shut up, Cyanide.
Would
Shut
you
up.
have Sam 6 and Sam 7 on your long range backpack, or is it only
It's okay,
Sam 7?
Cyanide. Don't be so sad.
On long range, actually, for the training session, it is 7.7. Long
I
range,
just
for
realized
the
that
short
my
range, it's
brother's
7.6.
flipping
In the server, it is
screens.
7.0
Keep
and
looking down,
7.1.
keep looking
Right?
down.
Okay, yeah.
It's sad. He's sad.
Okay, boys, as you've seen, okay, he called the departure, he called RTB, and now he's on his way back, right? As a siren, I know he flew to LZ Chungus, and now he's coming back, right? I have the necessary information.
Soccer 1 coming for landing at FOB,
Thank
approaching
you for
from the
going over
northeast.
decision making, Fubar. That was very helpful.
Anytime, lad. Yep, he's done the local air traffic warning as well, so if I was trying to take off, I would know which direction he was coming from, right?
In the 90s.
Damn, the little bird is sexy.
Soccer 1, keep on ground.
Okay, boys, for this one, me and Cyanide, we're gonna demonstrate some multi-ship flight or formation flights, okay? It's gonna be a short little trip. We're just gonna go to LZ Chungus, do insertions, and then come back, right? Before the flight actually begins, the flight lead will tell you the formation, okay? Mainly, we use single file, but there is echelon left, echelon right, or whatever, but single file it is, right? It is the simplest. And before the flight, we can have phase lines where the flight mode changes. This is where we'll also demonstrate the flight modes like Nap of the Earth and Contour and Flying Low, right? So, as a flight lead, I can sometimes, like on the map, I can mark phase lines, right? So let's go phase line alpha for this one. For this one, phase line Bravo. Past here, let's go phase line Charlie, right? So this is just overdoing it a little bit, but it is stuff you should know, because if you have a pilot who's also as capable as you are, you're gonna have a lot of fun doing multi-ship. For this, we're gonna be doing with the little birds again. Okay, if you want, you can get on board, or you can watch the Discord stream. Right, up to you. Cyanide, since you're like a demon boy, that one's yours.
Fucking gay, dude.
Fuck you, Cyanide.
Okay, I'm gonna be muting myself on Discord, and I'm gonna be using 7.6 short range, right?
Oh, this is my flying with Cyanide this time.
No, yeah, you can fly with Cyanide. Just too much helper. I'll get a new one.
Oh, my bad. Zinza, I'm sorry. Please pay me.
Ah, what happened to that, sir? Did you kill him?
I stole his spot as co-pilot.
Well, you can still sit on the
Side.
sides. You can still on the side.
That's what I mean. I was gonna tell him I can sit shotgun.
Ah.
He was very upset. I think I broke his heart a little bit.
Check 777.
Yep, good check, 7.6, mate. 7.6 is short range, by the way. Not 7.7. So, boys, before we departed, alright, I will be specifying our starting flight mode. This time, at the start, it's going to be contour flight, which is, as I said before, just flying above the obstacles, but still trying to stay as low as possible, right? For this one, I'm going to be the flight lead, Sina is going to be number 2, and yeah, we're going to start working from there, right? One lifting off west. Set pace 160, switch to contour. Yep, short range 7.6. Where the fuck am I going?
Radio check 7-6.
Good check 7.6, mate.
Radio check 76.
Good check.
Like my Charlie.
So, this is... Oh, a second. Okay, this is contour, right? Flying right above the obstacles and trying to stay still as low as possible, but we're not trying to fly around the obstacles, right? Phase line alpha, mate, let's switch to nap of the earth. So this is nap of the earth. Basically low enough to road killer rabbits, right? This is minimal exposure, but like max skill requirement, right?
Uber, sorry to interrupt you in 77, but you also got to be careful while doing NOE flight. Happened to me twice now that I got blown up by an IED while flying low.
Well, Napadios, as I said, is very actually rare on Liberation. One breaking left, by the way, fuck you of that. But yeah, when you're doing Napadios, do not fly above, just above like the IEDs or whatever. Oh, shit. Talking and flying is difficult. So, talking and flying is difficult, right? But yeah, if you know there's going to be IEDs somewhere, just switch to contour or flying low, otherwise the IEDs will still blow you up, right? So, phase line Bravo, let's go flying low, 60 meters altitude. Gonna be honest, this was a bit shoddy because I was trying to talk at the same time, so...
Is the advanced flight model or normal one?
Simple. Do not bother with advanced, it's not really good. If you want to fly like realistic helos, just go for DCS. One flaring.
2 flaring.
3 flares.
One going in for a landing. So in terms of landing, alright, Cyanide will wait for me to land first, and I'll try to land where I can give him the most space. Then the second is going to land, then third is going to land, and once everyone's on deck, then whoever landed first takes off first. Whoever was the second, he's the second, right? It goes like that.
Yep.
Hold on, I cannot really read right now. Okay, boys, shut the birds down. Let's do a small little debrief. Let's talk about, let's answer some questions and then show some scenarios people should practice for, right? Okay, so what happened? We were in a single file, right? We retained the formation. We relatively kept our speed. I was talking and flying at the same time, so I lost track a little bit, but that's on me. Sorry about that. But as you saw, kept the formation, and we called the maneuvers before we did them. And in the landing, we did one by one. So when I was trying to land, the rest of the boys gave me space, right? So I could land it properly. And then when I was done, Cyanide came. When Cyanide was done, then came Zensa, right? So everything's organized and one by one, so everyone has space to work with, right? Okay, any questions? Nielsen, I think you had one.
Yeah, you were just mentioning that whoever is first to land is the one that's going to take off first.
Yep.
In a situation like this, and let's say we're in a clearing, and we're going to egress north again.
Yeah.
Would it be the same principle, or would the last bird?
Yes. Before I would if I was gonna fly above someone, okay, then I would say when I'm gonna, I'm saying one taking off to the north, then people directly north of me would hold, no matter if they were second or whatever, right? You're not taking off until the first is clear, and even if the first is a little bit forwards, he's gonna wait for the pack. He's gonna slow down and basically get back information, right? And one last thing, okay, let's say you fucked up and you had to break the break maneuver, basically break the formation, okay, and you were the second when you did that, okay, you call out the break maneuver, you execute it, and then you get back in the formation, the back of the formation, okay. So if Cyanide was the second and he had to do a break maneuver, he calls it out, does it, and Zensa now is 2 and Cyanide is 3, right? This way, if we do not change numbers, right, 2 is in the third, you're going to be on the third slot, right? And 3 is going to be the second, which confuses everything, right? So your number is where information you are, right? Simple. And yeah, boys, that is it. Now I'm going to show you some types of LZs you should practice. These are going to include things like inclines, hovers, urban LZs, maybe some sling loading, and lastly, as a closer, we're going to talk about tail rotor loss and engine loss. Right? Okay, so for this, you can get on my bird or watch me on the Discord stream. Okay. So for flat LZs, okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to keep the markers up and not deleted. Right. For flat LZs, the helicopter spawners here, right, on the map, this could be considered a flat LZ, right? LZ flat. Okay. Give me a second, please. Let me. Yep. Next up, we have the small LZs, which are basically little bird on the landing zones, right? So somewhere where the Black Hawks cannot really fit. Okay. If this is the case, Siren will warn you. He's going to say this LZ is for little birds only, right? Meaning it's very tight space and you have to be very, very accurate, okay? There's going to be urban LZs later on, which I will mention. Those can also be considered a small LZ, right? Boys, by the way, can we minimize the sound around? Okay, so let me find you a nice little small LZ here. I'm gonna mark these on the map for you, so after the training session is done, officially, practice them yourself, alright? And I'll be around if you have any questions and if you need any demonstrations, okay? So right here, exactly here, this can be considered a small LZ. Black Hawk will not fit in here, right?
Yes, it will.
No, it won't.
I landed in the castle on Rush. I can fit a Blackhawk in here.
Zensa, stop showing off.
Okay.
Okay, so...
You guys can't land here. It's illegal.
So, small LZ it is, right? LZ small. Next up we have incline LZs. These are the bane of existence for some people, but it is actually not that difficult if you practice it, right? Incline LZ means basically an LZ that's climbing up, right? So this here, like right in front of me, this is an incline LZ. Okay? So for this, okay, if I had to land here, okay, I would not go for like wheels on deck, right? What I would do is basically just touch the nose, okay. Okay, just touch the nose and tell the boys to get out now, right? We're 1 meter up high, and it is safe for everyone to depart from the helicopter, right? I say go, 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 everyone's off, then I go back. Okay, let me mark this a incline LZ here. LZ incline. Now hover LZs. Any landing zone can be done with hover LZ, right? It is basically simple and nearly like the same as your nose touch, right? The incline. What you do is basically, okay, come to an LZ, okay, you completely come to dead stop, and you wait for your altitude on the top left to be around 2 meters, right? This is a hover LZ, okay? Everyone can safely get out from the birds, even though I'm not touching the floor, okay? This is a hover LZ. And sirens will not mark these like, oh, this is a hover LZ. No, these are decisions you're gonna make, okay? The only LZ type, like landing type, the siren will let you know is the small one, where the black hole will not fit, right? The rest is not a siren's concern, right?
Or incline, right?
Inclines, yes, sirens will not, like, he's gonna say, yeah, it is an incline, but he will not say, okay, do an incline landing here. He's just gonna say it's like slope, right?
Yeah, and it's all at your discretion what kind of landing you want to do.
Yep, if you want, you can force a like wheels on neck landing, but it is good to practice these because, like in the current map on Real Nazi, we had to use this with my buddy Stinky Cheese a couple of times because there were a whole bunch of shit along the floor. Yeah, there's gonna be a whole bunch of bushes or a bunch of tree stumps or whatever, which is gonna make it impossible for you to get the wheels on the deck, right? Last up we have urban LZs. Right? These can be considered some of the most difficult because trees are really difficult to miss, right? You've got things like poles, your power lines or whatever, they're going to be a little bit more sneaky, right? So for urban LZs, you're going to want to be aware of where you're landing and what obstacles there are, right? And urban LZ can sometimes be even a roof, right? We do not really do roof landings, but it is a skill you should try to learn, right? So let's try to keep it a little bit simple for you first, then I'm gonna land a couple more urban LZs to basically increase difficulty, right? This football field, this is an urban LZ, right? There are things like, you know, fences or whatever that cause a hazard for your rotors, right? So, urban LZ1. Urban 1, okay? Now, where else can we go for? Oh, I know. Holy shit, I have 14 frames. How about here? Right. You see that big bush to my left? If if that thing had a hitbox, I'd have to do a hover landing, right? That's where it comes in handy. Urban 2. I'm gonna mark one more urban LZ for you to practice. Then I'm gonna talk about the tail rotor loss and the engine loss, right? For urban 3, let's make it a rooftop landing. Any roofs I can land on, which is a solid flat ground. No, okay, let's...
There's one to our right, that small beige building right in front of us. Well, one-story building. It's to your left right now.
You can do an incline rooftop urban
Yeah,
LZ.
see that
Oh yeah,
building?
yeah.
It on
Looks
top?
like a garage, yeah.
Yeah, it can also land the garage. That's fine.
So yeah, also roofs can be considered, an incline LZ too. So we had to touch the nose and just let the aircraft, you know, those stay there and keep things controlled. LZ
you
urban
always-
3 roof. Okay, so these are the urban LZs, like potential ones where you have to land on certain urban elements, right? And for your LZ types, this is it. Okay. Next up, we're gonna move to sling loading. Sling loading is something that you will be tasked for. Not often, but something you should know, right? Different aircrafts have different sling load capacities, and like something like a little bird will not be able to carry shit. Okay? With this, you can't even carry like a single resource box. But something like a Black Hawk can carry some intermediate stuff, like a soft top Humvee, a Razor, or I don't know, maybe
Crates.
Yeah, crates they can also carry. But basically,
It's forbidden by SOP though, isn't it?
what? What is?
Oh, it's no, sling loading people in the
Yeah,
vehicle,
if
that's what's
you're
forbidden.
carrying a vehicle, there cannot be someone in that. If there is someone in that, it is against SOPs. Hey Zensa, can you spawn a Razor there? I'm gonna get a Black Hawk. Actually, Zensa, you sling load that Razor. I'm gonna sling load the containers, right? So something like a Chinook will be able to carry those big containers, which are in the Liberation can be refuel, rearm, or repair boxes. Those can be carried by a Chinook, and also something like a armored Humvee, which is called the GMV, can be carried by one of these big boys, right?
Someone please respond to Razor. Oh, did you drive it? Did
Zensa, mate,
where's the Razor?
I've spawned a paintball for you. Alright, I'm gonna be in a Chinook.
Hey guys, get to the helipad. The east.
It's gonna be in the helipad, yeah, to the east where the little birds are. It's a bit of a short walk, but you know.
Okay, I got you.
So, everyone, get on Zensa's or my bird, and I'll show you how to do this step by step, alright? Sling loading, there's some buttons to push for it, okay?
Prefer again that you do, because that thing can basically sling load most of our vehicles, except for heavy MRAPs and trucks.
Yep, the biggest it can carry is an armored Humvee, which is called the GMV. MRAPs are a no-go, Strikers are a no-go, Barrellies are a no-go, right? Anything that is not extremely armored, this thing can carry, okay? So, sling loading. First of all, you're gonna do right control B, or right control Bravo, right? And there comes your SLA, stands for sling load assistant, okay? Now you see circles, right? 5, 10, 15, and 12, 20 at the edge, okay? So, to sling load something, first of all you're gonna look for an icon, which is a diamond that has red in it, okay? That means that is something this helicopter can actually sling load, right? To begin the sling load, you're gonna get close to it, and when it lights up green, it's gonna say press B to hook, right? Or when it lights up green and you hit B on it, okay? That means you have selected it. Sling load is not complete. You haven't done it yet, okay? To start the sling loading part, you're gonna have to get that diamond on this 5 small circle with just 5 on it, and then be basically less than 10 altitude, right? 10 meters of altitude, okay? So I come up to the cargo containers, right? I see them on the SLA, that means I can sling load them, right? So I come in gently.
Quick note, just because you see something on the SL doesn't mean you can actually sling load. The Leopard shows crates and shit on the SLA, and it can technically hook them up, but flying with them is almost impossible simply because the Leopard's too weak to lift them up.
Yep, I think something like some aircraft will display them as sling loadable, but yeah, after the initial liftoff, you're gonna lose engine power and drop, right? So be careful. Do not try to sling load anything with a little bit, right? Chinooks,
We just wrap up.
Chinooks and the Blackhawks can handle shit, but little birds cannot, right? So back to the SLA. on the SLIC beta hook, right? I hit that and I've selected the green one, right? Then I just get it in a small circle. Attaching, attaching, attaching. I'm less than 10 meters of altitude, keep that in mind. And it just hooked down. I can just go wherever I need to, right? Whatever you're carrying slows you down. So if you're carrying something really heavy, it's gonna slow you down dramatically. And also remember, you have something dangling on the bottom. So you have to fly higher to clear the obstacles, right? Unless if you don't do that, if it's a vehicle, you're gonna hit it to a tree and the thing will explode, okay? To begin the slinger stuff, okay, you're gonna need to basically master your hovering skills because it can be difficult, right?
You could cheaper pressing X, sorry.
Yeah, you can, you know, also engage auto hover and just gently glide forwards and do it like that. But it is up to you. If you don't want to use auto hover, you can try without the auto hover. Also, since it is hooked now, how do we drop it? Well, on the SLA, you see 18 meter, which is red. To drop it something safely, you're gonna be less than 10 meters of altitude, same as when you try to sling load it, right? So basically lose your altitude and you hit B again to cut the ropes, right? There we go. That is sling loading, okay? In time, as people, you know, the sirens will start trusting you, where, you know, people learn if you're a good or a bad pilot or whatever, they will trust you with more important things like sling loading, maybe resupply operations, medevac or whatever, right? Be sure to practice these and try to just turn them into second nature stuff, right? Now lastly, I'm going to talk about the tail rotor and engine loss.
Yo, what's going on?
Hey Mason, flight training in Armstrong. So for tail rotor, okay, even without some scripts or fiddly stuff, it is actually quite easy to simulate, okay? Basically, you start your bird up, right? So, what happens when you lose your tail rotor is basically you start spinning, right? To the right, specifically. So, to simulate that, you know what you can do? Just lose your speed, and then just hit pedal right. And just keep hitting pedal right. This is basically tail rotor, but simulated, right? So, let's say I've lost my tail rotor, what do I do? First of all, you're going to get altitude. Because if you're trying to do a recovery maneuver and you hit an obstacle, boom, thing is gone. So, first of all, get altitude clear of, like, get above the obstacles, right? So, I'm at 60, I'm good. Now, what you're gonna do is basically push the aircraft towards one direction. Okay? Even if there's a tail rotor, and if the aircraft is moving toward one direction very fast, the aircraft will basically, you know, straighten up, right? So, I'm spinning, and I push it to the east, right? Okay. Voila. My hand is still on right pedal, but I'm still going forwards, right? It's literally the same with the tail rotor loss, but it is a little bit harsher when it actually happens. This is, as I said, just simulated. Okay. One thing is, okay, you've got it straightened up. Now what you do? Well, when you lose speed, okay, as you can see, my hand is still on a right pedal. It starts spinning again, right? So this is where the ELZ comes in, right? So you basically try to find yourself a clear patch. Hey, Prawn Dwarf, what's up?
Hello.
Hey. So when you're trying to land with no tail rotor, okay, you're looking for a clear patch of land where you can land safely and without worrying about any obstacles, right? So I'm gonna look for somewhere safe where I can land without any obstacles, okay? Even when I'm spinning, I'm just gonna keep my eyes on my speed and just try to gently put it down, right?
Yo. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
There we
I
are.
got a mic, I just don't know why the fuck it ain't fucking working. What the fuckins?
Hey, Prunwolf, mate, you're not muted on Discord, so. And yeah, this is basically tail rotor recovery, right? Simple, just push the get clear of the obstacles, push the aircraft in one direction, look for a clearing where you can land even when you're spinning, and then just gently collective down and yeah, try to basically recover the aircraft. Once you're on the floor, alright, you're gonna be getting on 39 to let them know that you need recovery, and next you're gonna get on 39 to request repairs from Ogre, right? That's it. That's your tail rotor recovery. Now let's move on to engine loss. So, certain things about engine recovery. Okay. Basically, when engine goes up, it means that the rotor above you is turned into a fan. Right? It's not getting any more power. It's just using the momentum it has to spin until the momentum dies out. Right? So, what you're gonna do is basically, once you got the engine down warning, okay, you're gonna go collective down, and then you're gonna do around 5 degrees downward, like forwards cyclic, right, to keep the aircraft going down and maintain the rotor RPM, right. You cannot simulate this, unfortunately, but just write down the basics, just know what you should do, and in a scenario where it actually happens, you can recover it, okay? So as I said before, collective down and 5 degrees downwards, okay? And while you're going down, okay, you're going to be looking for a clear patch of land where you can land and cushion the landing, okay? Chances are you may or may not survive the landing, okay? This is not like a tail rotor. When the engine's shot, chances are hull is also close to breaking, and even when you cushion the landing, it may blow up, but you will still save the passengers, okay? So, engines down, collective down, 5 degrees downwards, okay? You start gliding towards where you can do your landing, okay? Then, once you're close to the floor, you're gonna go full collective up and nose pointed back, cyclic back, to basically use the remaining rotor RPM to cushion the landing, okay? So, basically, you go collective down to maintain up rotor RPM, and when you're close to the ground, you use that remaining momentum to generate lift upwards to cushion it, okay? And that is engine loss, gentlemen, okay? Just, as I said, you'll need editor and other gimmicky stuff to simulate this. So just know how you can handle it, and if it happens, do your best, okay? And, gentlemen, I declare this training session complete. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for the questions. I will be around for around 30 minutes more to answer questions, help with the demonstrations, maybe help with practice, okay? I'm gonna be by the helipad where the training started, and yeah, I'll take your questions or whatever else, okay?
Can we get something on HMDs?
You mean the Blackhawks HMD or the mods?
The mod.
Okay, I'm gonna get in a Blackhawk and show you that, because they're basically the same with different finishes, right? But yeah, the HMD on the Blackhawk, I'll show you how to turn it on, and I'll show you what the information on it says and means, right? Also, the session I did is recorded on Twitch. I'm going to be putting a link on the new player tab and the air tab, so you can rewatch and basically look at the notes we put on the map. And yeah, now let's go with a pavewalk, my favorite. Did you just remove cyanide, Apache? Ah, lovely. Okay, so for your HMD, let me start this up and talk about it.
Just a quick note for everyone who hasn't noticed yet. I sent Arma 3 training scenario and 3 dyslexia art of flight guides for auto rotation and engine power loss in the air channel. All the links are there. You can test it out for yourself.
Hey, Simon,
Just
hey,
come on.
Zensa, can you put the formation flights in there as well? I was gonna do that, but thank you very much for doing that. For you know.
I don't have the formation flight one. Sorry about that.
It's
Only
like
search
basic
for the other
formations
ones.
on ground. You got the wedge, the echelon, left echelon, right echelon. You got the column, which is just
You know how
right behind each
the
other.
title of that? Because then I can just look it up. You know.
Check the playlist. I don't remember that. Oh, actually, give me a second.
Give me a second. I'll see if I can find it.
Did Sinai get off?
Yeah, I got a headlight capture formation flight guide.
Yep, that should be it. Okay, so HMDs. Oh yes. Check my stream. I will show you to put it on and what the information says. Okay, it's basically the same for the HMD mod itself, which is for the Little Bird and the others. Okay, so on the Blackhawk, okay, you basically look at this panel, go to Mission Systems, go to HMD, and then either Imperial or Metric. Okay, and with this you can up the brightness. Right, I'm gonna go with an Imperial because that's what I'm used to. I use knots. Okay, so the display, let's look somewhere black where I can see it. Okay, so at the top it says 291. That is the nose of the aircraft, right? That's where the aircraft is going currently. Okay, the left KTS, that is knots, that's our speed, and on the right that's MSL, that is our altitude in relation to the fucking sea level, right? Not the floor. So MSL is different from actual altitude. Your actual altitude is this caret that has 6 on it, just below MSL, right? It says 6, and it's pointing to the right. It's basically a caret, right? That is our altitude in relation to the ground, right? So that's the one you've got to keep your eyes on. The reason you look at MSL is basically to see if you're actually gaining altitude or not. Okay? And a little bit to the left of your altitude in relation to the ground is that caret that has a bit of a bar up and down, right? Let me fire it up and actually show you. This should be the same with the HMD mod itself, so it's going to be very similar, so keep an eye out for that. I think the only difference is the HMD mod does not have the MSL, okay?
I can give him a stream to show him how it looks.
Yep, after we show the Blackhawk, why don't you do that, Sensei? Show the mod itself.
Sounds good.
So, whoever's next to me, I'm going to get some altitude, so please give me some room, will you? Lovely. So, you see that arrow climbing up on the left of the altitude? That is our upward speed, right? So when I do not touch the altitude, or collective, sorry, it is level in the middle. When I do collective down, it goes down, right? This way, you can keep an eye on how fast you're going forward, like downwards, to keep, like, basically know if you're gonna cause damage or not, okay? Just keep an eye on that Dorito next to the 81, okay? Left of 81, sorry. One extra thing with the HMD, specifically on the Blackhawk, is waypoints. Okay, as you know, you can put a personal waypoint on the map with Shift and left click. Right? You see that? This is a personal waypoint. If you put that, okay, while your HMD is on, map mark 2 nautical miles minus 268 on the right bottom corner. Right? So the computer's telling me that map marker put is 2 nautical miles, and it is to basically bearing to 286 bearing off. So I turn left, and oh shit, okay, as you can see, I have the marker on the HMD right in front of me, and I have the bearing I need to fly towards, and at the bottom I have time, which means your ETA, right? So this way you can actually put your own map markers and see where you need to go exactly, right? This is the same on the HMD mod. If you do a waypoint on the map, the HMD mod will still show it, just like this. You'll still have the same icon, okay? And yeah, that is it for the HMD on the Blackhawk. One extra thing is actually you can put specific waypoints in Microdagger, which I will show you is a bit of a gimmick, but good to know if you want to put waypoints and flight paths and so on and so forth, right? So, let me shut that down. And, okay, so, Microdagger. First of all, okay, I bring it up, I hit home to bring it. This is not a terminal Microdagger, by the way, this is a backpack Microdagger, okay? My terminal is my...
Default H Microdagger.
Yep. My terminal is my rugged tablet, and I'm carrying a Microdagger GPS on my uniform. Alright, so I hit home again to bring it up, and I bring the map up. So wherever I want to put a waypoint, okay, I just, let's say here, double click. Basically type LZ1, right? Let's keep it simple. I hit OK, and I have the waypoint now, yeah? Now, let's mark where I am, okay? Let's mark this home, right? Hit that. So, you can put waypoints on Microdagger in the computer in the Blackhawk. So, you go to menu, you click over to navigation, and then you do Microdagger imports. You'd accept. Now, as you can see, let me delete the map marker. Map markers will override your computer navigation. Okay, so LZ1 time of flight 1 hour 39 since I'm sitting still. It's giving me 10-digit grids, right? It's giving me nautical mile, and it's giving me the heading, right? I can also see on the right bottom corner of my HMD. Okay, if I go to LZ1, the computer will automatically switch over to the next point, which is home, where I put, right? This way, you can get information like set. You fly to LZ1, it automatically switches it over to home. Then you basically do back and forth and have the information ready to go on your HMD, right? One extra stuff on the screen here, you can open up TAC, TAC, and actually bring up a map here. The training server map is not rendered in this system, but the most servers are, most maps are, sorry. Virulasi, the one we're using, is rendered, so I can see the waypoint I put at the end there. Let me switch it over. See that? LZ1 on the map. Switch it over to LZ2. See it there. This way you can look at the map, see where you have to go specifically, alright, and the whole shebang basically, okay? And yep, that is it for your Blackhawk systems. If you want to do extra bullshit, okay, there's fuel here, where you can check your bingo, time remaining on your flight, and maybe open up your weapon systems to see how many flares you have. Alright, that's it, that's the most I can teach you, okay? Oh, actually, a few more things, okay? Right here, you have console lights, okay? You scroll wheel up to get the lights on and make everything nice and green. This will help you in the night, trust me. And yep, that is it. To you, Zenser.
Gotcha. Give me a sec. Alright, I'll just wait till everyone switch streams.
What the
10 more seconds and I'll start on the HMD. Everyone switch to my stream. Okay, I assume most people are watching right now. The way the HMD mod works is you basically load the HMD RHS mod version. Just beware, it's not in the extra mod pack. You gotta download it yourself and add it to your mod pack. It's not in the basic one, it's not in the extra mod pack. And if you have the HMD RHS mod and Water Guards repack loaded, you can basically hop into any RHS chopper like the AH6M I'm in right now, and you gotta use your scroll wheel to activate it. So you basically scroll down to HMD on. Now my HMD would turn on as soon as I turn on the engine. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Engine's on, the HMD starts up. Then you can switch between Imperial and Metric, between a full mode, which basically displays all the available information, and a decluttered mode that only displays essentials. You can see there's a lot less on my screen now. I'll go back to full because that's what I'm used to. You can also change the colors from green to yellow. Small suggestion on the side. Use yellow during nighttime. It's much more visible on your NVGs. And you can also determine how bright you want it to be. I usually want it on high because that's the way I can see most of the shit correctly. Yeah, as for the actual HMD, is not that different from the Blackhawk and the other, what was it? The Pavok HMDs. It basically displays your speed on the left, the 128 at the moment. That's my speed that I have right now. On the bottom left, you can see the distance to the waypoint. I'm currently flying away from my waypoint, 0.7 kilometers out. There it is. It's also displayed as this green marker, this home right there. The F at the bottom left is basically my fuel counter. It tells me how much fuel I've left, 49% right now.
I wish we had that in the Black Hawk.
Yeah, it would be good. That's true. In the bottom middle, you can see the TADs. That's where I could see where my gunner is aiming the camera. If I had a gunner, you could watch around the camera, and that small box inside the TADs box would move around as well. And if I look in front, I'll also see this pretty big crosshair.
With cutouts on it, yeah.
Yeah. The big crosshair could move around, and that's where the gunner would basically look. Yeah. For altitude, the altitude at the top right is the MSL, meters above sea level, and the altitude at the middle right, currently 39. That's the altitude I have off the ground. Also, you see that the triangle moving around on the right side to my meters above ground. That's basically my collective. You can see collective goes up, I climb, collective goes down, and I descend. Yeah, that's basically it for the Little Bird's SMG that also the Chinook uses if you have the mod loaded.
One extra thing about the Blackhawk's HMD, on the Little Bird, the camera's position is basically a crosshair with cutout on the sides of it. On the Blackhawk, it is just a upside down triangle, right? That's where the camera's pointing. Also, you have a small little crosshair, which is where the gun is pointing, right? On the HMD. On the Blackhawk, it is different depending on which weapon you're using. But as a stalker, you do not have any weapons, so do not worry about that, okay? And gentlemen, this is about it on your HMDs. Anything else you need help with?
Question for Sensa. How did you the HMD for the Little Bird again? I kind of missed it when you told me.
You mean like how I turned it on, or how I got it in general, like the mod?
In general, because I do have the basic. No, sorry, the optional one.
Yeah, you got the extra mod set. The thing is, both mod sets that are in the mod list do not include the mods required for the HMDs. Give me a second, I gotta see if it's still pinned in the air channel.
It should be. But just ask for the HMD mod.
Nah, it doesn't look like they. No, they didn't. Yeah. Give me a second. I'll look up the links and I'll send them in the air channel. They're like 2 extra mods you need for using the HMDs. Technically, it's only 1, but we're gonna do it the proper way, and we'll need 2. I'll add it to the guides list that I sent in the air channel earlier.
HMD is not like...
It's like with every mod, you just load them, save the profile, so you always have them loaded. And that's basically it. Once you've done that, you can activate them over the scroll wheel menu as I've shown.
Also, HMDs are not like mandatory, and they have some downsides. Okay, look at Xanth's screen when using them in the orbit. He does not have the top left HUD, right?
I do, because I cheated. No, I didn't. There is an option to get those back. I could show you all, but that would take some more time.
I didn't know that actually. When I got the HMD on it, we always shot that HUD. But yeah, let's just show you that if you're interested, okay? Because normally when you have that HMD mod on, that top left HUD where the whole engine speed and altitude is, that's usually disabled. So if you're not fiddling with it, that's a bit of a downside.
Is that a configure add-on stuff you have to do, or is it?
No, that's the point. It's basically you need to go into your ARMA directory and delete some files to do that. I haven't done it in a while, so I don't actually know how they're called. I might need Fubar's help on that. Give me a second, I'm still looking up the links.
Zenz is a hacker man right now.
Does that mean that?
No, I looked at the solution in the internet.
Does that mean that you're gonna have to have that you have that HUD as well in the UH60?
On the Blackhawk does not support the HMD mod. The HMD on the Blackhawk comes with the mod itself, right?
I figured that would be like a way that sounds to hack the system.
Mr. Hacker man. So, any questions? Anything we can help you with?
Me?
Any of you, in terms of the flight, training stuff.
Oh, I don't have a game. I was just watching. I don't have the game. I was just watching.
Okay, guys, I have tail rotor loss tutorial 1, tail rotor loss tutorial 2, engine power loss, auto rotation tutorial, formation flight tutorial, then the HMD's RHS version. You need that mod, and you also need WaterGuard's HMD's mod repack. Just be aware the HMD's mod RHS version will ask you to install the original HMD's mod. That one doesn't work. Don't even worry about it. You need to get WaterGuard's version. Ignore the dependencies if it asks you to install the original mod. And Fubar, would you mind giving me a stream of your file explorer?
Of course. Let me actually open up.
Oh, and hide your porn files before you show it.
I'm actually gonna have to shut the game down. Give me a second. Let me do this manually, which is gonna take time because I may be a little bit technologically illiterate. Come on.
Alt F4. Alt F4.
Okay.
Alt F4.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, remember to go to Discord because perhaps you'll speak. Actually, I don't know. Probably should.
Change Windows Workshop. Here we are.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. If you all want to know how to get there, you open up your Steam, go to Library, select ARMA 3, Properties. Then you go to Local Data or whatever it's called. I got it in German. I don't know. Then you basically go on Search or something. That should open up your File Explorer and bring you to the general ARMA 3 folder. And at the top of all the folders, there should be like a workshop folder. If you can't see it, you gotta enable hidden folders. Yeah, you gotta enable hidden folders. You go on in the workshop folder and scroll down to
HMD RHS.
No, open up the HMD's mod. Open up the HMD's mod.
Yep.
Yeah, you open up that. You go to add-ons.
Yep.
And you gotta delete a PBO. Unfortunately, I can't see it in your stream right now. It's gonna
wipe out a PBO. Is that it?
I don't think it was a wipeout one. Give me a second. I gotta look at my own folder.
Let me big boy scale them for you if you can't see it.
Is there something like a copy PBO?
Alright, guys. Thank you for the training. You really have to go to bed. It's
Gotcha, trouble. No problem.
No problem.
Same
mate.
time zone.
As I said before, after like 10 minutes more, I'm gonna shut the Twitch stream and I'm gonna put it in the link.
Oh yeah. What you gotta do is you gotta delete the Kimi UI optional PBO.
Kimi UI optional PBO.
Yeah, those are the ones that I deleted.
There we are. Okay.
Now you could start up your game and you'd still see your panel, or at least you should. You can also check the what's it called? Yeah, the Water Guard HMD's mod repack if it has these, and if it does, just delete them as well. It'll be fine.
Right. So yeah, there you go, gentlemen. As I said, I'm gonna after the session is completely done, I'll put the Twitch link in the Air tab and the New Player tab, so you can rewatch it, look at the notes we put, or whatever. Right?
Fubar, you gotta like a document for all your notes, because then we could just toss all the links in there and send that in their channel to get it pinned or something.
On the stream, check the map. I put a whole bunch of notes there. Right?
Oh yeah.
Terminology, map icons, etc. Right? I put them there, and I'm gonna add some extra stuff like which frequency siren is on, and some tips on SOPs. And before the stream, I'm gonna put them up for 1 minute. Like last minute is gonna just be map display, so you can just see the notes, right? So you guys keep flying. I'm gonna update and put some more icons on the map, and just keep practicing, right?
Good luck out there, guys.
Also, one last thing I'm going to mention is, yes, we're doing this training, but if you have your flight perms, do not be overzealous. Get on the Liberation server and be a co-pilot for someone you know who's a sole pilot. So even if you know how to fly, there are still some things you will need to see in like an OJT, right, on the job training, some shit. Okay. So do not be overzealous and say, okay, I'm sufficiently good pilot and I can fly now. Nope. Just be a co-pilot for a day or two, okay?
You'd be surprised how efficient those fucking Russians are with their AA.
Yeah, you would be.
Man pads everywhere, ZU trucks behind every fucking corner.
This training. I got my flight perms, but you know I haven't had the balls yet to get on stalker roll. Because I figured.
If you have them, no worries. Just hop in if you see like me or Fubar in a stalker slot, and you can just basically co-pilot fly with us. Or at least that applies for me. I don't know about you, Fubar. Sorry, I was speaking for you.
I'm always happy to have someone who wants to get into Stalker, who wants to be a co-pilot to see how things work. So if you see me or Zenta or Cyanide, who can be a bit harsh sometimes, but yeah, if you see any of us in the Liberation, and if you have your flight perms, we'll be happy to have you on board. All right, and after I'm done with updating notes on SOPs and some tips, okay, I'm gonna be talking briefly on how to co-pilot, okay, because people think co-pilot is just sitting there doing nothing, but it isn't, okay.
You can have a comms as a co-pilot, so your pilot doesn't have to worry about it, for example.
Yeah, in short, what co-pilot does is, okay, imagine the things you have to do as a pilot, right? You have to fly, you have to manage the maps, you have to manage your radio, you have to talk to the passengers on board, right? And if you have a co-pilot with you, well, for example, if I was Zenta's co-pilot, alright, I would just tell him to only focus on flying. I'll handle the radio, I'll handle the map, I'll handle like what we're gonna do, where we're gonna go. I will handle the situational awareness. I will operate the cameras. I will instruct the passengers on board, right? So that only thing Zenta has to bother with is just flying at his best, because he does not have to do anything else. Okay.
You guys know what? That's actually a lie. Usually we just chatter all the time, and we don't even have the time to discuss mission data and shit. That's what happened when we the last time.
Co-pilot, all the things that the co-pilot
yeah, we
is
were
supposed
just
to do.
fucking
It's the things that I feel like, okay, this is the stuff I need to learn.
Actually, like let's say you're going to I'm the co-pilot for Zenta, alright, and he's going to go from FOB Alpha to LZ Chunkus. You know the departure, RTB, and local air traffic calls? I'm going to be the one doing that, right? Before he takes off, he's going to wait for me to do the radio call, and I'm going to do the standard. This is Stalker 1 departing FOB Alpha for LZ Chunkus, right? I'm going to be the one doing that as a co-pilot. After the call is made, he's going to execute the rest of the mission, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So he's going to go to LZ Chungus, he's going to land, he's going to wait for me to basically call RTB on 7-0, and I'm going to say Stalker 1, RTB, and then he's going to go RTB, right? So basically, I tell him what to do and he does it immediately, right? Also, one more thing with the co-piloting is when you're getting on as a co-pilot for someone you do not know, okay, just tell him what you're gonna do and what like things what duties you're gonna share, right? Because not everyone will be like, oh, co-pilot just sits there, he does not know, like he does not do anything. Some people will be like that, right? Just let him know that you can help him in certain aspects, and try to basically make things more efficient, right?
You also ask them what they are comfortable with, because perhaps there are a couple of people that actually don't want a co-pilot. Usually I would be one of these guys simply because I don't talk that much to people I don't know. But if you're new and you need assistance, just hit me up. I'll see if I can help you.
Also, one extra thing with co-pilot is if your mission is somehow dangerous and there's a chance the pilot may get shot, for example, co-pilot can recover, right? That's one thing you should know as a co-pilot is basically flying. If you cannot fly, you should not be a co-pilot, because co-pilot basically means, like, if I have a co-pilot, that basically means if something happens to me, this guy will recover it, right? Just like a second life. Imagine it like that.
If the pilot loses connection, you gotta be quick and take the controls. And you also need to ask the pilot to unlock the controls in case he loses connection.
Yep. And remember, if you're on the co-pilot seat and the pilot disconnects and the seat is empty, you have to manually take control. It does not transfer over immediately and automatically, okay? And when the transfer happens, you lose some collective, right? So you lose some 5 meter-ish altitude, so keep that in mind. So if you're transitioning, make sure you have extra bit of altitude, and then you switch it over, okay? And co-pilot can help when, let's say, pilot has something to do. Someone's on the door, right? You have to go and check it. Just pass it over to the co-pilot, right? He'll handle it.
Hey, Fubar.
Should I slot in as like a crew part of the stalker role, or as my own stalker 1 or 2 or 3 or 4?
That doesn't matter actually, but if you slot in as a crew specifically, that tells me you're a learner. Okay, you're a beginner who wants to learn. But one extra thing, that's a good point, is let's say I'm a co-pilot for Stalker 1 and I'm Stalker 2. On the radio, I do not say Stalker 2, I use his call sign. Okay, to simplify everything. Alright, remember that. Whoever's flying the actual bird, you're using his call sign.
Yep. Hey, Fubar.
What's up?
Do you think I'll be better with like a stick, like a flight stick?
That's...
Cause I mean, I have one.
May I answer that?
I'm using it right now.
For Fubar?
Yeah, of course, mate. Go ahead.
Okay, because I got a flight stick and a track AR for DCS, and honestly, even though I got a pretty decent flight stick, I still fly mouse and keyboard in Arma 3 simply because it's easier for me. The way you learn it, it's probably the way you want to go, but you can do both. It's fine. If you decide to fly with a flight stick, you might want to go for the advanced flight model though.
What I got was the Butez X.
You're gonna be honest with you, okay? Armor does not need stick. DCS does need stick.
I like it better. I cannot fly with mouse and keyboard at all.
Yeah, I get that, but for example, if I bought a stick, okay, I have to relearn some flying stuff because it is not the same. Also, in Armor, I'm using my mouse as a stick link, right? So I literally have a joystick in the shape of a mouse, and I'm doing my collective inputs on W and S, and pedals on A and D, right? So my keyboard is not very cluttered. I'm using the mouse to keep a positive control, and I can change the sensitivity if it's too harsh or too gentle. And yeah, you can basically work the mouse just like a joystick. And if you want to go with the joystick, all the power to you. Go ahead.
It's absolutely fine. Just gotta get the practice and muscle memory down.
Yeah,
that's
but
all it really needs.
That's what I'm using right now. Like flying right now, that's what I'm using.
Yeah, you're flying in advanced or simple flight model?
Advanced.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you got the throttle on the X, so I guess you can kind of use it to control your collective and shit. That's good, I guess.
Well, I mean, I have a throttle.
Oh, you got a throttle as well, yeah.
I just want to say,
Then you should
guys,
probably use your setup.
the advanced flight model for the molded helicopters don't work. Just saying. So you're actually turning it on without even doing anything with it. It is broken at the moment.
In terms
they might have their own flight models, don't they?
Yeah, but they're all simple flight model.
Yeah. Though, if you're flying the Black Hawk, like the UH-60 or the HH-60, if you're flying in advanced, your wheel brakes will actually work. If you're flying in simple flight model, your wheel brakes might not work properly, and you can start sliding around the ground if you land with too much speed.
So fucking annoying that.
Yeah. Every time you land in the slope of a fucking Black Hawk and your wheel brakes don't work, it's basically a death sentence.
What I hate about this training server is that you don't blow up. I'm so used to my scenario where I blow up when I crash. I don't like this at all.
Yeah, I set a scenario in Hell's Heli Auto Rotation for the Alphas map. Just go for that. You can simulate engine power loss, you can simulate tail rotor loss, you can spawn every chopper.
That's what I use.
Yeah, it's pretty
I use,
good.
Livonia and Atlas.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your choice which map you want to go for.
Yeah, I like Livonia when I'm trying to learn how to like dodge trees and stuff and fly really low.
Yeah, knowing how to do NOE flight is good, but I wouldn't say it's the most important part of flying, because it's more about getting your chopper to LZ safely instead of impressive.
Yeah, we're basically trying to get the job done, but
whenever I fly low, after some time I kind of crash into a tree or something stupid happens if I lose concentration.
When I put it on for my application like I did last time, I guess they didn't like it. I don't know why. I was doing a whole bunch of J-hook turns and crazy stuff.
Dude, the thing is, they want you to just fly as controlled as possible, but they're not looking for like...
No. I am controlled when I do it though.
Does it also look safe? Because that's what they're also looking for.
It's safe. Because I'm not like turning into a power line or a tree or anything. Going into a nice safe area. I do the turn and then I slow down and I see where I'm gonna land and then I just go for the landing. Like how you normally land.
Yeah, what I did for the fucking reapply from firms, I basically just flew in almost in a straight line, pretty close to the ground to my LZ, landed, and got back, hovered on the way back.
I'll have to look back on the text. I think he said it's not long enough, I think.
Evan, how long have you been playing on Arma? I know there's gonna be like a time played limit they have. Like, it's not something set in stone, but they're basically not accepting like the complete beginners who just get on the server like a day ago and stuff. Just saying. So you should need some play time actually.
I've been playing on the server for about 3 months.
Yeah, that's good. You should have the necessary time then.
Yeah, I just never got the chance to do an application.
I mean, apps are open right now. Go for it.
I already did one.
Yeah, I got you. Good luck then.
They said like it was my video that was the problem, so I redid a video.
How long was it?
It was like a minute.
Oh,
it is too short though.
My video is 10 minutes long. Just starting up the chopper, going to the LZ, landing there, flying back, hovering, shutting it down.
Mine was like 7.
Yeah.
I think mine takes the record. It's like 55 or 1.5 hours. I can't remember.
Dude, I hit V instead of fucking X, and
I kind of saw you bugging around the air. cancel that down there on the ground.
And that, gentlemen, is not how you gun the Apache.
Oh, by the way, should you ever fly fixed wing in the server and you hit double V, fuck you. You block the runway. There's ejection seats. I'm not gonna lie. The chances that the Odin knows how to delay them is almost zero.
Dude,
you have to do some custom debug shit to get rid of them.
The canopy fucking stays there and just blocks the runway. So.
Also, the ejection sheet falls down the ground, blocks the runway as well, and you can't delete it like a regular prop like the Odin usually do.
Okay, before you disconnect from the training server, whichever aircraft you're operating, be sure to remove it. Okay, if you respawn or disconnect, that aircraft will not be able to be removed. Okay, make sure
I
you
got a
clean
question.
up.
So I'm not really familiar with the Blackhawk, like startup. Can you teach me a little bit about that?
Of course.
Dude, I got you, lad.
I'm already in. I'm already in. Fuck you, Zez.
Nah, just tell him about the battery and then the checklist. That's all he
Well,
needs.
I can turn on all the generators and all that, get on like the HUD and all that. I just can't turn it on.
Okay, are you watching my stream?
Hold on. Who's am I watching?
Fubar. Yep.
Your stream's not loading, Fubar.
Give me a second, let me restart it. Discord be a cruel mistress sometimes.
Know about it? All you need to do in the Blackhawk is turn on the batteries to get the generation and the batteries to get the power on the MFDs, and then you can open the checklist on your bottom left.
I'm gonna turn to my audio to 0 for
I don't have my helmet, so...
Alright.
Give me a second, let me get my helmet and my outfit, because the voice is fucking deafening.
I mean, but you can tell him. Oh, I was about to say.
That's actually another big point he's saying right there. If you're flying in a Blackhawk for the first time, and you start it up, you take off, it'll be deafening, trust me. You'll need to turn it off and get out, and hop back in. That way you fix that weird sound bug. It's literally a bug.
Yep.
See, when I've flown Blackhawks, but I've never turned them on.
So, Evan, alright, I'm gonna start the procedure, alright? So, first of all, this row of buttons, the flips here, okay, they all go on, right?
I know that.
And then these three here, okay? And then you get the ignition key, okay? Then the fuel system goes twice, not once, each goes twice. Alright, then you push the buttons. And then you power on. If you're using advanced flight model, it is different. I'm using simple. Alright? Keep that in mind. For advanced, it is a little bit different, and I'm gonna be honest, I've tried it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it fucking doesn't. So, on that, I'm gonna fucking just go to Cyanide, right? He's doing the advanced flight model joystick stuff, so... Cyanide. He's using advanced, right, Evan?
I turned it to simple just now.
Be sure to get out and get back in the bird. Also, guys, one important information. If you have a co-pilot who's on simple and you're on advanced flight model, if you hand them over the controls, the helicopter will not operate and it will drop. Okay?
What did I do wrong? It didn't even start up.
Did you flip the ignition key?
Yeah.
It's on long. Remove it, spawn another one. Sometimes it can get a little bit buggy and finicky and all that bullshit, okay?
Also, you can turn on the stream and I'll just see what you're doing. Perhaps I'll see what you're doing wrong or shit like that. I'll just get my fucking Apache on the deck.
Okay, now I will update the map with information and tips, okay? So I will mute myself. If you need to reach me, call me on the Discord. I'm not deafening, I'm just muted, okay?
My stream is on.
Second even. Okay. Okay, I can see a black screen and the mouse moving around.
that it?
Yeah, that's literally all I can see.
What about now?
Still, oh yeah, now I can see it.
Alright, I turned on the. I turned on the room. If you want, you can hop in the Black Hawk with me. You're standing next.
Haven't switch. Have you flipped every switch that you need to?
Hold on. About to.
And the next one. Actually, no. That should suffice. Yeah, that should.
Can't even reach that one.
Yeah, that's fine. Now you flip the ignition key. Activate the fuel systems. Both. No.
Wrong thing. I didn't mean to click that one.
Yeah, fuel system.
There it is.
You press the engine starter buttons. They're on the top middle. On those black things that you can also flip. No, not that one. The small buttons on that thing that you just flip. Yeah, those are the ones. You need to flip both of them or press both of them.
How do you press them?
Did you do your second fuel system twice?
And,
it actually works without that.
The engine can work. You can fly it with a single engine and a single fuel system.
Now you can. I think you should have them on. You can just.
I turned them on for him.
Set the engine con to off or idle or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, flip those ones down now. And see if your rotor starts. Yep, there you go. See?
I think that's. Oh yeah, that's what I did wrong. The second fuel pump, I didn't put it at the second.
That shouldn't be an issue. I usually only flip them once, not even twice, and it still flies perfectly for me. It's just, I guess, the thing with the mod. What you probably did is you flipped the engine con before you activate the engines, and that kind of kept them off for you. Also, just so you know, if you flip the engine cons back to off and you get out too soon, the helicopter will stay on. In that case, you need to hop back in, flip the engine cons back to on, and turn them off and wait till the engine actually starts shutting off. It's just a kind of weird bug. It's custom mod after all. And if you look on your flight computer on the bottom left, as I said, there will be a checklist in the main menu for the startup and shutdown sequence. It will give you a couple of numbers in your cockpit so you know what you have to press in... what you have to press after pressing this and that switch. Yeah, there you go, checklists.
Yeah, it's not letting me.
Okay, that's pretty weird, because it should work.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Press F. Press F.
I am pressing F.
Perhaps you got another keybind conflicting with that. You'll just need to go through your keybinds and see what else is bound to F.
Nothing should be.
That's all the help I can provide for now.
But what would it be?
Yeah, in that case you gotta go to configure add-ons.
Oh no.
Bottom, yeah. Now go to UH60. All the way down until you find it's sort valve. There you go.
You're fixing to crash.
Yeah, I was watching.
Just hit X. For outer hover. I don't have to worry about that shit.
I thought I had it into a hover.
This one's not. Yeah, go back to configure add-ons and configure the add-on where you just were. Because you're not in the right one right now.
I'm not? Oh.
Yeah, every time it throws you out every time. Might be at the top. Actually, give me a second. I'll see for myself what it's called. That's odd. It's not him in this command. What the frick? Oh, there are a couple of custom movements.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
Interaction. It's on F.
Give me a second. I gotta see if that's the same for me. Yeah, it's the same for me.
Yeah, it's on F.
It's kind of odd that it doesn't work for you, because if I press F, I can open these systems just perfectly fine.
I was trying to open up the stuff here and I couldn't. I was so confused.
Yeah. Perhaps it's a bug to the training server. I suggest you try it out in the editor as well. Just spawn in a UH-60.
That's weird. What the heck?
That was the HMD's mod or something, I don't know. It's HMD. It's actually HMD. Ow.
The flyby cocks and all that, but I just didn't know how to turn it on. Because then, like, what was it? Heli, whatever. Like, it was automatically turned on for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. But it doesn't show any of the stuff down here.
I just tested the F button for myself and it works perfectly fine. I don't know what's wrong for you. I have literally zero clue.
He may just have to respawn the helicopter again.
I've done it multiple times. On all of the Black Ops I've spawned, none of them.
As I said, try it in the editor, and if that doesn't work, go over literally all your controls. See what's bound to F and check if something could override it.
Oh, how do you do an incline landing with a Chinook, but with the rear facing towards the incline?
It's the same with, like with Little Bird. You touch down your nose and you just get into a hover while your nose touches the ground.
Yeah, but I want to get my rear to the incline.
Oh, that's...
To do that, basically, just establish yourself on a hover at the... basically a bit more to the top of the incline, alright? And then gently lose your altitude. Be sure to stay on auto hover, because if it shifts, the aircraft's going to shake wildly. So for that, you're going to be using auto hover, okay? And then gently glide down. You do not have any optics to look back, so this is mostly about experience. So do not try to do this before you get some actual experience, both landing the thing, slingshotting with it, and basically pulling off most other landing types, okay? Because doing that with a Chinook is genuinely difficult, okay? That should be like some of the last on your bucket list, okay?
What do you mean? That's easy.
If you get practice, it is. If you don't, it can probably fucking destroy your passion for flying.
Whenever you want to do that, I suggest having a crew chief in the back fighting you. Because in the Chinook, you can't see shit, even with track IR.
Yeah, I'm using track
You do have a pretty open cockpit, though.
Yeah, but you cannot like look behind you like a little bird.
I mean, yeah, that's true. You just gotta carefully pick your LZs, and if you get used to it, you know what to do and what to look out for. Alright, I love the Chinook. It's my second wife.
I find it easier to land the Black Hawk and Chinook than the Little Bird. Because it's like smoother, I would say.
Little Bird's a lot more agile, yeah. The Chinook obviously ain't as agile. I do have a recommendation for practicing flying. Just the Little Bird. Flying is nice and easy, but if you only learn the Little Bird, it might be harder for you to learn the other ones. Then if you'd start out with like a Black Hawk or Chinook and just try to get everything working in these choppers, because those are the ones that are more difficult to fly than the Little Bird, and if you've mastered them with the Chinook and shit, it won't be as weird if you switch to Little Bird. The Little Bird will be a lot more agile and will feel weird at the beginning, but you'll get used to it faster than you would get used to the weight of the Chinook when switching from Little Bird to one. fuck. Every time I'm in the training server, I'm literally flying so careless because I know I can't explode.
It's your worst enemy.
Yeah. Getting used to not taking damage is so deadly.
But that's the point. I've been trying to get us like the server to be non-destructible, like be get destructible.
Yeah,
But
team
the
kill
admins
is all
keep saying no, we don't want that.
Yeah, I know why they say it, and I understand their point, but it's also kind of unrealistic for an environment like this.
Who?
Again, there's the editor.
Who was in the Chinook?
That is
Scar, why are you still flying
Jesus
around?
Christ, man!
Yeah.
Scar, are you
things
still
to you.
trying to flip other people's chopper? Dude, he did that to me
All
earlier when I was looking up links. I just looked
all
at
I
my screen and saw
all
him
I
flip
saw
me in the
was
air.
in the corner of my eye was a Chinook, like butt coming straight at me.
Yeah, I would say the same. You would consider that.
Jesus Christ. Alright.
Alright, I mean, training's over. Go, enter the world, get good.
Touch some grass.
Like the old Dark Souls god said. Get good, scrub.
It's scrub.
Lockman is an insult.
Alright, let's fly this baby.
Alright, I gotta go, guys.
I've only
Good luck.
flown the Chinook
Have fun.
Alright,
Practice till you drop dead.
Zenta, thank you for participating, man. Glad to have you on board, as usual.
No problem. Sorry for
Gentlemen.
my little delay.
No worries on that, mate. Before you arrived, we were basically going over the basics. So.
Sounds good.
So, gentlemen, I've updated the map with tips and the terminology is still there. Okay, I'm gonna let the stream rest on the map. So if you watch it yourself, the last 2 minutes are just gonna be the tips on the map. Okay, so you can reference them later on. I'll take notes if you want to. Right?
Yeah, I was watching this video. It was of a Chinook landing on an incline, and it's crazy.
It is crazy. These guys do it for a living. Just do it for fun.
Oh, even just because I noticed it while watching your stream, you can turn off these radio announcements if you want to. Do you know how?
No.
You press escape. Like, yeah. RHS game options. RHS game options, that's over the menu. In the middle of your screen. Yeah, there you go. You turn off the voice announcer and the... what was it called? Yeah, the radio chatter. Those are both of them. Now you get rid of the maximum speed thing and the radio chatter.
Disable safe mode.
I didn't even know there was a save mode.
Oh, that's good.
There is no safety in liberation. There is only death and destruction.
Yes.
Oh, and suffering, because no fun allowed.
No fun, only suffering.
Either way, goodbye, guys. I'll go to bed now.
Cheers, man.
Love y'all.
I had to give him a kiss goodbye.
Gay.
What did you say?
What? What did you just say?
See you guys.
Cheers, man. Okay, boys, I will be out of the Discord myself, so...
Oh, you can really tell that this thing is heavy. You gotta, like, with the stick.
Okay, yep, I'm disconnecting from Discord. I'll still be on the training session. I'll be displaying the map a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna shut the stream. So, good luck, boys, and keep the practice, right?
Bye, kiss goodbye. Alright, we're back.
There we are. Okay, that's enough. Let's show you our practice LZs. Like these phase lines and jewelry stuff. Those are flat, FYI. Okay, everybody, this is it for the recording, the training. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can reach me on the Karmakut Discord, or you can put a question on the play tab. If I can reach you, I will. Thank you, and good night.